Hey guys, welcome back to Gaming Garbage. We're take a look at games, chat about the gaming news in the industry, and of course, stream for fun. This is a redo. I had audio issues of Gaming News Consolidated, where I take a look at videos and articles over the week and consolidate them all right here. If we've watched all of it, man, it does take hours. I can let you know that. But yeah, this is going to be July 21st through the 27th. We're going to be talking about an investigation that Wired did into Activision and some of their AI usage. We're going to talk to about some layoffs today. We're also going to have a important update for you PC players. The NVIDIA 40 series is having some performance issues, and we finally know why. We also got some unionization. We're going to talk too about NCAA 25, how that's going. We got a let's see. We also going to talk a little bit about digital sales and how much they are, and kind of what the future looks like, which we already kind of know that. We're also going to try to wrap up all of the controversy with Assassin's Creed Shadows. There are so many videos out there right now that are convoluting things, getting things diluted. It's kind of hard to keep track of it all. And again, there's tons of videos, even just from the same channels, and that can be pretty frustrating. And then two is, are Xbox consoles having a resurgence? I would love to hear about actually what you guys are seeing out there in the field, and that'd be awesome to see and hear from you guys. So let me go ahead and check my audio here, make sure my audio is good. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, what happened last time with gaming news is like 16 minutes in, I wanted to check the NCAA rating on Xbox Game Store. And that messed up the audio on my stream for the whole rest of the thing, so how frustrating. I still got my cough too, as you can hear, and yeah, still working on getting over that, hopefully. So, the Wired investigation for Activision. They found out that one of the bundles, cosmetic bundles for the game, was actually made by AI. Now, we don't necessarily know how much, but this was Yokea's Wrath, excuse me if I mispronounced that. That was released in December of 2023 and came along with an operator skin, a blueprint sticker, calling card, and a loading skin. And we don't know exactly, again, how much, but we do know with copyright law that in order for that to actually be approved, there has to be a human author. So AI can do a lot of it, or do like a base, and then somebody has to come in and actually finish the job, and then it can technically be copyrighted. So this actually makes an interesting thing, too. It's like, if it's all completely AI made, generated, whatever, there are no copyrights for that material. And so that's not just for Microsoft, that's for everybody in every single industry. So I just think that's very interesting with how the copyright law is. But currently, right now, apparently, current employees are forced to use AI tools. They've been also trained on how to use generative AI over at Activision Blizzard. And then Treyarch also had a job listing for an art position requiring, quote, advanced expertise in working with generative AI tools, end quote. And so we've already had multiple companies in multiple sectors that are using AI and also using robotics, like Microsoft, Ubisoft, Amazon, McDonald's, anything with art design. We're even starting to see this with some basic coding. And I do want to remind people, too, that like with what we have access to for free, it's pretty basic. Like, it's definitely not perfect. But if you watch videos from a year ago, like The Rock eating a rock, it looks horrible. And then you look at actually what's being made today, and some of it looks pretty dang good. There was even, like, I think a Volkswagen commercial where the entire thing was made by generative AI. And it does look pretty good. It's still not perfect, but if you can get close enough to good enough, that's what these companies are going to be doing. And so looking into the future, you guys got to think about like what type of job or career you're going to get into, not just because you like it, but more or less, is it sustainable? Can you actually keep your job? And I already know of some people that have lost their job that have been in art design, or archiving material like at an office or something. They've already lost their jobs. And it's hard finding another one. And here they went to school for this. and the AI tool is still used anywhere it can be, and this is going to continue, and the AI will too continue to improve. It's just like McDonald's using robotics. If it's going to cost $25 an hour or whatever just to have people work there, eventually they're just going to be using complete robotics. And there's a few stores right now, McDonald's around the country, that are already using all robotics, from burger being made to it being handed at the door. It's all robotics. There's not a single person involved. And that is just wild. And so, yeah, we have this changing future before us, folks. So if you're a younger person, or you're wondering even if what you're currently doing for a career now is sustainable, you got to start thinking about this, because it's not going to be a joke by the end of the decade. It's going to be kind of crazy. I think AI is definitely overhyped right now. Um, but just like the internet or computers or the cell phones, it's going to change stuff for us. So the NetherRealms, they've laid off their entire mobile team, and they were working on Mortal Kombat Mobile, and they just had an update, and now everybody is fired. The mobile game will be shutting down in October of this year. And how big was the mobile team? It's about 50 people. The mobile team was actually quite small compared to a AA or AAA game for like console or PC, and this too is why mobile games are also so lucrative, is that they can make just a fair amount of money and they can be extremely profitable because there's not a ton of people behind the project. When you have these other games that are bigger or have bigger teams of hundreds or even thousands of people, collaborating, plus all of the contractors, etc., and quality assurance teams and stuff, it can get pretty expensive pretty quick, and the licensing, etc. And so when you start adding in AI, when you start adding in smaller teams for mobile games, like we don't want a mobile combat game. We want another actual game to play and invest in, but that's more risky. And so companies are going into more mobile. They're going into more remasters and remakes, which we talked about that last week. And yeah, just smaller budget games. But still, even some of these, they're not making enough money. And so these teams, they're getting fired, just like this one. And it sucks too, because it's like we have too many gaming options right now for what's out there, especially like for live service. And eventually it's like, look, there's only so much time in a day. There's only so much time people have available. And while, lockdowns and stimulus money, there was a ton of free time. There was a ton of money to sustain people's lives, or even to expand it, which is why we had 9% inflation. I don't think that's the case anymore. People are having to go back to work. People are having to get back into things. Hold on, folks. I'm just spamming the crap out of me. Shut it all off there. Um, and yeah, I don't think the industry completely yet is realizing that there's just not enough people out there to play all of their games, to spend all of the money to keep them sustainable. And that's why we're seeing some games that are basically dead on arrival. And I think the fatigue is pretty high too, because it's like, again, it's like, okay, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, Skull and Bones, they are just not great games. And while smaller projects like Helldivers or Pow World are more successful, or Stellar Blade even, they're great. People are excited for them and using it and eating it up. But yeah, there's just not enough time and not enough money anymore. And so, yeah, we are still not done. I know I've been saying this too for like a couple of years, but we are still not done seeing layoffs. I think we'll continue to see layoffs, maybe even through 26. And, we'll have to see what happens. But I don't even feel like companies or gaming news channels are covering layoffs anymore. It's just a normal thing. But yeah, we have record layoffs for the last couple of decades. And yeah, we haven't seen stuff like this since like 2008. Just crazy. All right, let's talk about the NVIDIA 40 series. Some of you may be noticing that you guys have some performance issues. Or maybe like the performance is kind of slowly getting worse. Excuse me as I have hiccups. But due to bad factory thermal paste, that's why the performance is so bad. So unfortunately, it's a factory issue. Again, it's the thermal paste. And if you are having issues, I would suggest contacting NVIDIA, because it's not like it should all still be under warranty, because they made it bad. They built it bad. And so that's a defect. And they should be able to get you a new card for free. Now, if you bought a used one, you're just out of luck. If you actually bought a new one and you can prove that you bought it from them, or from a supplier like Newegg or something like that, then yeah, you'll want to get that checked out. But maybe too, you have a 40 series and you don't realize there's any issues, but you still may want to run some tests and do some checking to actually see if there are some issues, or check their website on what type of exact 40 series have the worst performance problems, and yeah, get that checked out. So that's just an update for you PC folks. Bethesda is unionizing. They've actually voted to, so far, 241 devs have filed that they want to be a part of a union. They've actually voted yes to unionize, so there's still some more work and paperwork and all of that stuff to work through. But like, this is going to cost more money for Bethesda, because they're going to have more pull as a group of people to actually get higher pay, better benefits, retirement plan, health care, etc. And so yeah, games are going to become more expensive at Bethesda, and that in turn could eventually affect the quality of their games, how long it takes for a game to come out, the budget of games, all of that kind of stuff. Because again, but even though Bethesda is a massive company and they make a ton of money, the money is still not infinite. And that's why even some of these big companies in other sectors, like Yellow, the trucking company, or J.B. Hunt, the trucking company, or Maersk, the transportation company for container ships, they are starting to go bankrupt or have gone bankrupt already. I just heard of another one, which I'll update you guys, is that Big Lots is closing 150 stores roughly, and I'll share that toward the end, just in case you guys are looking for some stuff like furniture or beds maybe or something else. That's at Big Lots. But yeah, like, even though these big companies are big and make a lot of money and whatever, they're not quite making enough. And so I think we should remember that too. But yeah, good for them being unionized. I feel like certainly quite a few devs have just been, hey, congratulations, and just been spat out, and that sucks. And we'll actually get into that too, because this is partly related why I have Coral Island up right now, because yeah, we'll get into that. Okay, NCAA 25 is selling extremely well. There's over 5,700 reviews. It's at a 4.3 out of 5 right now. It's sold 2.2 million for their deluxe editions, basically, or their bundles with Madden. So there's a ton of people playing it, and then there were 600,000 people using the EA trial to the EA Play trial to actually play and test the game. Last NCAA was 10 years ago, and so many are going to be buying this. And this has been something that's been called for quite some time, and people are excited about it. They've been excited about it, wanted to have NCAA with college football and all of that stuff. And it's just, yeah, it's just crazy that, they've waited so long. And we kind of know that Madden has been just a repeat game. Okay, same engine, a lot of the same animations, and unfortunately we have that here too still in NCAA 25. I highly suggest watching the Angry Joe Show review on NCAA 25. They do a wonderful job of just peeling back the onion and showing you what it is. And so yeah, the game is very fun. It's cool to have your teams and stuff, but like, people are encountering bugs and glitches and issues with the game crashing even. And this isn't just on PC. It's not just a PC problem. This is also a console problem. And so I think the woohoo is going to wear off a little bit, and we'll start to see maybe the reviews go down a little bit. But still, like, this is one of the best football games they've put out in years. And so, yeah, EA is going to make a lot of money from this. Let's talk next about another EA game, FC25. So they are adding a premium tier of in-game rewards, and this is basically a premium battle pass. We don't know the price yet, but we know it is coming. They announced that. But this is just like Apex Legends, where they already, split the battle pass, having you pay double basically for the same amount of rewards, which is ridiculous. And now it's FC's turn just to try to monetize more and get you to pay more. And everyone is raising their prices for microtransactions and subscriptions and whatever they can do, early access, etc. They're trying to just get everything that they possibly can to get more money out of you. But ultimately, it doesn't really mean anything at the end of the day because, they're going to try to sell you the next game, especially sports games. Oh my gosh. I mean, whether it's racing or football or American football or golf, whatever, just take your pick, and they just monetize everything to death. And I feel like a lot of this stuff too is being made for the whales, the people that have the money that don't really care. Where like $1,000 to them isn't that much, right? They just don't really even think about it. So it's an extra $10, $20, $30, 50, an extra 100, whatever, and it's not a big deal to them. But like more of this stuff is technically being made for the people that can afford it, and we're starting to gear away toward games being made for the general masses and now being made just toward the people that can actually afford it. And I don't like that personally, and because that cuts a lot of us guys out of it. Which I think sucks. I don't think every company is geared toward that way, but I think more companies will continue to do that. Like the game Counter-Strike Go. Okay, that game is definitely for the whales and trying to trade and make money and all of that stuff. And that kind of thing, it's like I just want to get that out of there. I just want games to be games. Okay, I don't want them to be digital shopping, experiences or whatever. I just want them to be games, and I don't want them to be money makers and get greed in there. Communities are already toxic enough on multiplayer. That's why nobody talks. But yeah, unfortunately, this is just another thing where just AAAs are squeezing as much as they can every single player, even if their player base goes down. They don't really care. Again, they're just making it for the whales, and that's good enough for them. Taking a look at Apex. They've definitely fallen in player count that we can see on Steam since May of this year, and it's dropped about 50%. That's a lot. And then when they had their update to their premium pass or battle pass or whatever, it fell another 30,000 players, which is pretty good. That's a lot of people. So EA did walk back some of their tier changes. They are allowing you now to use 950 in-game currency to actually pay for the battle pass, because they had removed that too. They just wanted you to use real money. Screw you, give me money. And oh man, yeah, we got to fight against some of this stuff and say no. Be active, engage, let them know how you feel through reviews and comments, because that's actually what they look at. But gosh. Yeah, this is just getting bad. It looks like FC25 is going to go that way, and I'm sure Madden is going to get worse too. I mean, that's another IP they control. And they control a lot of IPs for sports. It's kind of unfortunate. Modern Warfare 3, as I'm sure some of you already know, is on Game Pass as of July 26th, so this came out a few days ago. And the reason I'm covering this is because I kind of want to gauge how long it's going to be until the Black Ops 6 comes onto the standard tier, which is going to be delayed. That is the new Game Pass tier that's going to come out on September 12th. And games are going to release on day one, but it won't be for the standard tier. It'll just be for Ultimate now at $20 a month, which is a lot of money. It honestly is. I still think it's a good value. Link in the description. I'll add my 12-month review down there, even with the price changes, and why I think it's a good value and all that stuff, and who it's really made for. Again, it's not made for everybody, and I cover that as well. But yeah, link in the description for that. But yeah, so Modern Warfare 3, from launch to being on Game Pass, was about 8 months. And so I wonder if that's kind of how long it's going to take for Black Ops 6 to become on standard. And I'll be covering that in another 12 months from now to let you guys know. But I'm curious too, where are the other Call of Duties? Because the servers are running all the way from World at War to present day, all of them. And they're screwing with hackers. They're just horrible with hackers and stuff. But yeah, the servers are running, and I wonder why they're not adding them to Game Pass yet. I would think they would have been on there first. Okay, they're pre-owned, they're used, like they're not going to get the full value out of them anymore. Their big push is Warzone and microtransactions and keeping people playing. So why wouldn't they push toward that? I have no idea. But anyway, Modern Warfare 3, if you want to try it, is on Game Pass. Humble Games, which is why we're showing Coral Island today. Humble Games is partly responsible for making Coral Island. My wife and I, we did a review on it. A link in the description down below for that too. We're going to call these short reviews, the games that my wife does. But back to Humble Games, 36 employees. They are all currently laid off. They literally just had an update for Coral Island, and now everybody is fired from that team, which sucks because parent company Ziff Davis says that they're restructuring, and they still have 7 games in development too, but they laid off all of Humble Games. It's not even going to exist anymore from the sounds of it. And so what's going to happen with the 7 games in development? Are they going to cancel them? Are they going to transfer that to another studio? And something too is like there's actually a Switch port that's supposed to be showing up for this game, and now with Humble Games being liquidated, basically, it's put that in jeopardy if there's going to be a port at all. And this is kind of becoming a bigger problem because Coral Island was a Kickstarter project, and one of the, tiers to get to with enough backing was to actually make a Switch port. And so that's why some people contributed money to the Kickstarter to actually get that Switch port, and now it looks like we may not even get it. And so some people are asking for their money back because, that's kind of fraudulent, right? You've accepted money from other people for this particular product or service in the future, and then you're not providing that. That is fraud. So, I don't know how else you can put that. So this really sucks. But the layoffs came when Ziff Davis couldn't actually sell Humble Games to anybody. So I think that's unfortunate too. Nobody really wanted to buy them, and now they're just being laid off. And this really sucks. It's just another layoff. I think we'll continue to see smaller teams like Tango Gameworks, where the smaller teams are let go. And as soon as an update's out, I'd be scared for my job now at this point because it's like, when this update comes out, am I going to be fired the next week? Am I still going to have a job? And then that Switch port, we may not even get it, which sucks. I mean, they've sold like 150 million plus Switches, and to not have a Switch port, like you're literally cutting out probably tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, maybe even a few million in sales. I mean, that's horrible. That's horrible. So I'll keep you guys up to date on that as best I can. Capcom mentioned in their earnings call that 90% of their sales are digital, and they're expecting this to get to 93% pretty quickly. It won't take that long. They are committed to continuing to make physical games as an option, but again, I think how long is that going to actually be an option? I mean, when you're at 95%, 97%, 98, 99, are you still going to make a physical copy version? Are you even going to go through the trouble? I don't think most companies will. And with even like Cyberpunk 2077, it had a horrible launch. They spent $126 million to actually fix their game over the course of like the next couple of years, which was brutal. We had a massive delay for the DLC, and then the second DLC we didn't even get, which I think is a bummer. But 97% of their sales, or 94. Yeah, it was around 95, I'll say that. 95% of their sales were digital. And again, so if you actually have a physical copy like I do, dude, you are like a rare bird, and like too with Starfield, like there's not a lot of copies made. They actually quit making physical copies. So if you actually find a physical copy of Starfield, that's another one that I think is going to be harder to find, especially once the DLC comes out and Bethesda keeps making Starfield better and getting more community mods and all of this stuff. I think eventually people are going to want to rebuy the game or get a physical copy, and well, they're just not going to be out there. So they're committed to still making as many physical copies as they can of all of their games, but we know 2 consoles are getting into digital editions. We know that some games are also never physical, and PC doesn't even have physical anything anymore. And that's just how it's been for a long time. There's also been a push, of course, toward services and subscriptions like GamePass, EA Play, PSN Plus, go ahead and name it. And so, this is just a reality, again, just a check. It's just like, buy the physicals that you want, but like physical isn't going to be around forever. Eventually, it'll just be digital only for everybody. Excuse me. So for those of you that know, Pokimane, she's actually being auctioned off for the Immune Deficiency Foundation. They're auctioning her off for a period of time, and the bids are in, and it's pretty insane. So what do you get? Well, they have a beautiful photo of her, of course, and then you're going to be able to do a Zoom call, and you get to pick the game of your choice, and you guys get to chat and play a video game, like for a date or whatever. And somebody bid. The winning bid was $500,000. Just let that sink in. Like some rich cat. Oh gosh, I hope it's not an older guy or some just creepy guy, but unlikely. I mean, you have someone that paid $500,000 to play video games with her, and good gal, that is just a little scary. So yeah, you can't buy your girlfriend, folks, and Corn isn't your girlfriend either. But, gal, like, the whole dating scene is just all messed up. And I just think this is just part of a thing. I hope it's not, the guy, probably the guy, isn't seeing it as a date for them and Pokimane. But, gal, man, you never know. There's a lot of weirdos out there. And a lot of, a lot of gals that are not mentally stable either. I mean, just scroll through YouTube, baby. Oh, my word. It's insane. But yeah, I thought that was pretty insane. So, I mean, at least it's good for the Immune Deficiency Foundation, I guess. But yeah, I hope it's a good experience for Pokimane as well. Because, yeah, $500,000 to play a video game with somebody that, doesn't even really care. That's crazy. Good luck, I guess. All right, so Assassin's Creed Shadows. We're going to wrap up this controversy. There's finally been a lot of information that's come out. We've had response to from Ubisoft. And so let's go ahead and catch you guys up. So we basically have a black samurai in the game based off of a real historical figure that served Obunaga during toward the end of one of the wars. And the black samurai, his name is Yasuke in the game. So unfortunately, though, there are historical inaccuracies about Yasuke. And we are pretty sure that he wasn't even a samurai. And so some people are complaining and panicking about this. And why they picked Yasuke, I'm not entirely sure, but I do have my theories, and I'll share those in just a second. But this has also caused others to look at gameplay more closely, look at the seasons in the game, the weapons, the banners, the ceremonies, all of that stuff. And boy, they are finding a ton of issues with the game. So there's actually fan-made symbols in the game, which they have fixed that by now. But if you're getting the super fancy, super fancy edition, then your symbols are actually going to be built into your product, and they were saying they can't fix those. Also, trees are blooming in the wrong season. There's incorrect weapons or wrong weapons in the time period. Also, the cultural depictions and ceremonies are wrong. There's R&B music during gameplay with Yasuke, which just didn't go very well with the gameplay reveal that they did. There's paintings from the wrong period. There's wrong, like all of the mats, even for some areas, or like what would be in a room at that time, or in a house or a palace, is just wrong. And there's a ton more. I mean, if you want to look it all up, you certainly can. But like, people have done their homework. And we also got an interview with Ubisoft where they said that they were, this is paraphrasing, looking for someone to represent samurai in their game that wasn't Japanese. And they were purposefully not wanting to have a Japanese person be the samurai in the video game. Like, why? Why? Samurai are all Japanese. All of them. It's an entire culture and history of people and how they lived. I mean, to me, that just sounds racist. It really does. I think that's crazy. I was going to link a short as well down below, but that short was actually completely removed from my YouTube channel, and I can't even show it. It was someone else's channel, and I did like a little kind of like screen capture thing to show a piece of it, to show what I was talking about with the interview, and yeah, YouTube just removed that. So Oh well. Of course, they gave their reason, which was just that maybe the creator um, made some changes on his end in the settings, and so that short was actually removed. But I've contacted the creator and haven't heard anything back yet. I just really want to, if he changed something and it's his content, I got no qualms with that. What I'm worried about is that YouTube is basically censoring my stuff, as we know they do already with other bigger channels, but censoring my content just because it doesn't fit the narrative they want to promote on there. And yeah, this is insane. And this might even get blacklisted too for talking about this. I mean, whatever. I'm here presenting the news as it is, as accurately as I can, and I'm not into necessarily watching what I say. I have the freedom of speech, and I'm not trying to make money on this channel either. So here's the finger, YouTube. Good on you. Also, too, we've seen in other games that we never play actual historical characters. There's historical characters in the game, but we don't actually play them. And this time is different, and I think that's why there's honestly more scrutiny this time. Maybe they were doing it on purpose to create more controversy, to get more chatter about their game, and to get more sales or whatever. We'll see if this actually works when it comes time to actually buy it and when we get sales numbers. But boy, yeah, they messed up Yasuke and does not correctly represent Japanese history or culture. And, this is the issue. Why didn't they just pick a real samurai? Because otherwise there wouldn't have been any problems at all. It would have been fine. Or just make it, hey, this is a samurai of the time period. Doesn't even have to be a historical character. Just be a samurai guy. And that can be that. So, yeah, they're purposefully wanting to choose an African American to represent the samurai, which they have the creative liberties to do so. Excuse me. And Ubisoft also talked about this in a letter that they released of apology, saying that they didn't mean to offend any Japanese culture, and that their games have always strived for historical accuracies, but they're still historical fiction. And so this basically gives them the green light to just basically do whatever they want. Until there's actually enough pushback, like on this game, and for them to work on making some changes. And they've said too that this is not the final product. We still have months to work on this game, so not everything that you've seen is going to stay the same. So they'll likely make some changes. They will likely correct some stuff, but I think the damage is done. And to this, the fact that they've stated that their games are historical fiction. They've had that since every single game since Assassin's Creed 1 in 2007. I mean, we're almost at 20 years now, and that's always been in there. And so I think, too, we need to realize that video games or other entertainment or media, they're representations, okay? They're not perfect historical references. But people are used to these games being historically referenced with the region, the time period, the weapons, the kind of the culture, or maybe what things would look like. And again, they're going for that immersion. I mean, even Assassin's Creed Mirage was praised for its accuracies of 9th century Baghdad by historians. The same thing with Valhalla, the same thing with Origins and Odyssey. While there are some liberties there, generally the environment that you're in is accurate, but they can't even get that right this time with Assassin's Creed Shadows. And I think at least they should hold to their own standard, because they're the ones that have made it in the first place. Also, I mentioned earlier that this is actually a legislature in Japan that's looking into opening an investigation over the historical accuracies in Assassin's Creed Shadows. His name is Hamada, and he's part of the Party to Protect the People from the NHK, but this party has no real influence in Japanese politics. They just kind of exist. They also haven't been around for very long, just like a few years. So but now Hamada is now officially a part of the Independent Party as of 2023, so he's not even a part of the NHK anymore. And there's not likely to be any investigation. He doesn't have any power. His party didn't have any power, which is why he probably left it in the first place and became independent. And And it's unlikely, too, that there won't be any official restrictions or boycotts of the game from the Japanese government, because usually they're more about gore or nudity or something like that. And so even like Dead Space Remake, there was so much gore they don't allow that game to be sold in Japan. So, which sucks. It's a great one. It truly is. Also, too, I looked into Amazon Japan, and just to confirm it from the video I was watching, but yeah, as of May, Assassin's Creed Shadows was one of their biggest sellers for PlayStation 5. And that's pre-orders of the game. Are those pre-orders still around? Maybe. Probably most of them are. But I think a lot of this is just more chatter on YouTube and getting as many views and subscribers as they can just to talk about some controversy. And that's all a lot of channels want to talk about anymore. Instead of actually presenting things as they are, like I'm trying to do here. It's just that, yes, there are some issues, there are inconsistencies, but do I really care if there's a black samurai in my game? No. I care more about the gameplay. I care more about the mechanics and what they're going to be doing and how actually big the game is, and the level of immersion in the game. Does it break it for me? Like rhythm and blues music during a fight scene, that would break it for me, right? I wouldn't want that in there. But for most people, I think they've made up their mind. They either hate Ubisoft or this is a nail in the coffin for them, or maybe even Sweet Baby Inc., for an example. They were a consultant for this. But yeah. I mean, do I think Assassin's Creed Shadows is worth $70? Probably not. Not for me anyway. I'll wait for a discount and I'll buy it then and I'll play it for you guys so we can actually see. I actually do also have Assassin's Creed Mirage. I got that for $20, which actually felt pretty good. And I'll be showing that to you guys probably sometime after my trip. So, but yeah, ultimately, I think Ubisoft has chosen the Black Samurai on purpose, whether to check a DEI box or just, again, to have something unique or shocking or controversial just to get people talking about it. But I ultimately don't believe many care. I just think it's a lot of loud news on YouTube and wherever else you're hearing about it. Because, again, nothing's going to happen from Hamada in the Japanese parliament. Nothing's really happening with the sales with Amazon Japan, or anywhere else. I mean, it's one of the bigger games that is pre-ordered, and you can do that research yourself. But yeah, I think people are really just doing it for news and whatever. And it's the same with Call of Duty. It's the same for Black Ops 6. It's the same for Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, just Pal World and Helldivers, and I mean, there are channels out there, which, shame on you, by the way, are more focused on getting you engaged with their channel so they can make money off of you instead of actually presenting the news. And I think that's disgusting. So I don't think there will be a boycott. Again, people will just buy that want to buy it, and people will stay away from it that want to stay away from it. And, I think that's that. Here at the channel, at Gaming Garbage, my goal is just to present the news accurately to you guys, and then you guys can make up your own decision, because you guys are adults, most of you. And, but yeah, it's your money. You can decide what you want to do with it. All right, let's go ahead and get into Xbox console sales. Are they having a resurgence? And so I didn't plan to necessarily talk about this, but I am curious if Call of Duty will have an effect on console sales and Game Pass sales, especially Ultimate specifically. We know with Series X sales, they've been very poor ever since launch. So let's go ahead and go through this. They've had almost 29 million as of this month since launch in 2019. PlayStation has had almost 60 million since launch 2019. Switch has had 141 million since launch in 2017. April, May, and June show that PlayStation 5 was in first place according to VG charts. They're actually a great website, by the way, to keep track of some of this stuff. And Series X, of course, is behind in third place behind the other two. And so, yeah, they haven't been selling that well and continue to not sell that well. Game Pass 2, it does keep growing. The growth has slowed some, but they're currently at 34 million. And this is actually fully paid subscribers. So this means that they're actually paying for the ultimate tier or whatever. And Game Pass has 80% of its payers actually paying and being on ultimate, which is crazy. Again, that's $20 a month. Now that actually might change a little bit with Black Ops 6 coming out, and also with the price of $20 a month. So we'll have to see which way it goes, or if it kind of stays stagnant. But 34 million paying $20 a month now, that's nothing to sneeze at. And so I'll keep you guys updated on this number as we get Black Ops 6. This will probably be somewhere around Christmas. I'm expecting some kind of announcement for Game Pass around Christmas or maybe after New Year's to actually see where the Game Pass subscriptions are at. PlayStation right now has 48 million, but they've stagnated since December of 2020. Which is kind of surprising, too, because you'd think that with all the stimulus money, they'd actually gain more subscribers, just like Game Pass, but unfortunately that didn't happen. They've been stagnated somewhere between 46 and 48 million subscribers for quite a while, a lot of quarters. And they're trying to find ways to get more people to buy in. And that's why, like, every game now that's going to PC port, you're going to have to have a PSN account because they want to boost those numbers up. That's why the whole controversy with Helldivers 2, again, was like, look, we need to implement this. We need to get people to sign into PSN accounts and all of that stuff and get more people into the ecosystem. And this ultimately is why their entire PlayStation network, it's stagnating. And that's part of a big revenue stream for them. But if you can't grow it anymore, you can't really... you can't really do anything, and inflation's going to eat up your company eventually. So yeah, they have to be able to fix that. We know too with PlayStation that out of that 48 million, most of them aren't premium. Right now, there's about 8 million that are paying for a PlayStation Premium. But yeah, again, Sony's trying to change this, trying to do more day one stuff, trying to add more games. They're not just adding 2 or 3 at a time. They're adding like fairly large bulks of games. At different points of the year to try to just make it more value focused for people, because they raise their prices too. So yeah, no matter which way you look at it, it's expensive. But Game Pass is definitely quite a bit more expensive. But then you get all of the day one stuff plus EA Play on Game Pass. So again, it's review is linked down in the description for my 12-month review of Game Pass Ultimate. And while it's not for everybody, I think it's still a really good value, even at $20 a month. And 2, let me just interject this in here. If you want to save some money on Game Pass, then you can use cdkeys.com or you can use G2A, and basically these are like the eBay of codes for video games. And so you can poke around and find some cheaper alternatives for Game Pass, and you get the codes emailed to you. And then you redeem them, and ta-da! So make sure you read the description. Make sure you're being safe about it, okay? Get a prepaid credit card or use your own credit card. Don't ever use your debit card. That is so dumb, folks. You will regret it for the rest of your life. But yeah, use a credit card or use a prepaid that you can get at the store, and then just buy with what you need. But like, I've been able to get Game Pass for $5 a month, and that's pretty dang good. So there are options out there to actually get it cheaper. Is it a little bit more work? Do you have to siphon through some of the BS? Absolutely, but that's cheap, and that's cheap enough for me, and I'll continue to do that. There's other options for 10. I've seen 15, but yeah, there are plenty of discounts on there, and it's not illegal. They've never been shut down. The companies know that they have that, but you can find pretty much anything on there. Anything that's a digital code, CD keys, and G2A, they have it. So go ahead and just take a look. Just be careful. Excuse me. We know, too, that PC Game Pass is actually the fastest growing so far. This is 2023 data. And even though the prices went up, I believe most people will probably keep their Ultimate and PC Game Pass. But yeah, PC went up 20% from where it was, and Game Pass Ultimate went up 18%. So that was actually the smallest increase. It is the highest price, I understand that. But as a percentage base, it actually went up the least amount. Now, if you were on console and you're going to now, to keep your day one, go to Ultimate, that's an 82% increase. And that sucks. There's just no way around that. So I definitely suggest for you guys, go see, go check out CD Keys and G2A. This is not promotion. This is just trying to help you guys out. But yeah, there are good deals on there. One thing I've seen though locally is that Series X's are harder to get. I'm starting to not see them. Mini 2 are trading in their 360s or Xbox Ones at GameStops. I've talked to a couple, and they're like, yeah, we have so many Xbox consoles coming in, and then they're buying a Series X or they're buying a PlayStation 5 or whatever. But yeah, checking at Target and Walmart, they were empty of Series X's. And then Walmart was completely out of S's as well. They had plenty, both Target and Walmart had plenty of PlayStations. And the next week, same thing. All of the X's are gone. So I eventually asked the guy at Walmart, I was like, you guys getting, Series X's in? He's like, yeah, we are. He's like, they're just selling. We can't keep them in the store. So I'm curious, too, to hear about with where you guys live at. Go to your local Walmart or Target or Fred Meyer or whatever. What are you seeing in your area? I'm just curious because I wonder if there is kind of this resurgence with Black Ops coming, with Game Pass being what it is. Maybe some people are making the switch. And if they are, that's going to translate to better revenue and numbers for Microsoft at the end of the year. So yeah, I'm just very curious. But yeah, I'm going to consistently check. And even with Amazon Japan, we see the Series X console is in 8th place in game sales as of June of 2024. So for Amazon Japan, the other consoles aren't even in the top 10, which was shocking. Now, I must define what gaming is with how they're categorizing this. This includes games, consoles, keys, controllers, headsets, all of that stuff. Okay, so for the Series X to be number 8 in the top 10 sellers for Amazon Japan, that's pretty shocking. So yeah, I do wonder if there's a shift coming. U.S. data just shows a lot of keys and controllers, and Australia and UK shows a lot of games, and some Japanese consoles too. Sony and Nintendo. So I will keep track of this because in 2020 we had some shifts in the gaming industry, and I'm just interested to see, how this is all going to play out because this is going to dictate some of Xbox's future for the rest of the decade and the coming decade, and it's also going to dictate how PlayStation is going to try to move their pieces on the chessboard to be able to continue to compete with Xbox. And if you're interested, I also have a part 1 and part 2 of PlayStation versus Xbox. I will link those down in the description as well. And these are deep dives. So these are just like this, but they're going to take longer. And they're going to be pretty involved. A lot of numbers. Everything I could possibly dig up. Yeah, those videos, man, they took a lot of work. But yeah, maybe you'll enjoy them. So link down in the description. And with that, folks, thanks for tuning in to Gaming News Consolidated, where the goal is just to consolidate the news for you in just one place for the week. And hopefully you guys are doing well. Man, with the fires, with the hurricane barrel in Texas, that is still a mess over there. We got crazy wildfires on the west side of the Rockies. California now has one of the biggest wildfires ever on record, burning like 250,000 acres, which is insane. And man, it's rough out there. But hey, hold on. Hold on. Honestly. You will make it. But don't quit on yourself. Keep going. And with that, folks, I'll see you guys on the next one.